Wir haben heute Nachmittag oder heute am späten Nachmittag zwei Gäste bei uns, eigentlich den berühmten, bekannten Peter Smets alias Franky. Er wird uns einen fantastischen Vortrag halten in Englisch über Operator Rates, Funny and What the Fuck Things. Also lassen wir uns mal überraschen. Und danach werden wir noch ein bisschen ausquetschen. Der Jörg, auch einer von unseren Mitgliedern und bekannten Interviewpartnern, bekannt durch Funk und Fernsehen, wird Ihnen dann noch ein paar nette Fragen stellen und dann gucken wir mal, was dabei rauskommt. Ja, ich übergebe jetzt das Mikro mal an Peter für seinen Vortrag und wir fangen damit an.
Hello, Peter. So, well, I will just give it to you too, so you can make your answers. Anyway, thanks for taking the time and being here on your birthday. Woo!
Happy birthday to you!
Happy birthday to you!
Okay, so you are mainly known in the demo scene. Actually, I know you since 17 years because of the demo scene, but you also doing collecting and selling arcades since 7 years, and that is what we will talk about today, about the funny stories, how he gets those devices, carnival centers, as he says, and other crazy people who think that badly serviced machines are worth something still, even if they don't work at all. So let me hand over the microphone to Peter.
Okay, thank you, Joerg. Also on the birthday, I deny everything. I'm 25. No, that's fine. I started with WrestleMania 6-7 years ago. Initially doing some MAME conversions and some fixes, and then I got a pretty cheap warehouse I could fill, and then I could go to old operators, people who put the games in bars, the pinball machines, arcade machines that, well, they're still around there and they might want to sell them cheap, and then I have a stock of machines to go and use for myself, and then sell some on to people who want projects and whatever. And in those 7 years I have met many people. I have met crazy people, I have met good people, I have done good deals, I have done bad deals, I have brought some pictures with me and a lot of stories, and it's your job to try me to tell them to you. So we start.
So let me start with the question, how did you actually got the idea of entering the business, as you said, 6-7 years ago, where people like my family would say it's electronic trash, so why would you try to make a buck out of it and dig your hole through rubbish, arcade boards that barely work, wooden and moldy cabinets, and going through all the dirt just for the hobby?
Well, you start with like one cabinet that you get for free, and you make a main machine out of it, and you completely pimp it out with all the buttons and all the lights and all the controllers, and it's completely yours, and you spend hours and hours of work in there. And the people ask, well, okay, can you make me one as well? And then, okay, I need machines, I need empty machines to start with. And that's how you get in there. And then it will say, okay, I can find these plans on the internet, so I can screw one together myself, or I can go on the Chinese wholesale websites and just order a new one. But what we started to do with WrestleMania is that we, and I say we because there's a couple of guys who work together actually, we want to keep the machines old. So we don't do full restorations, we don't make them all shiny, we don't get the rust off, we don't put new T-molding on, we keep them, well now we can use the word vintage, but now vintage is cool. So now we keep them vintage, so that you can see that this machine, this box was built in 1978. And for that there's many small type operators in the 80s. Every city, every village had their own guy who would do the small area around him where he would put the pinball machines and the arcade games and the pool tables in the bars. Important to know for Belgium is that jackpots or slot machines are not allowed in bars. So there was a big hall for pinball machines and video games. So we do have these bingo machines, you know, these 40, 50 holes machines with cards and that I don't know anything about. And quite often you would have in a bar 1 or 2 bingo machines, a pinball and a video. That was your default layout. And in the end, many of the operators who put the machines out started to buy the bars because they were making more money with the bingo machines and the pinball machines than with the actual bars. So they would. I've been to guys who, at certain point in times in the mid-80s, early 90s, they would own 15, 20 bars in the entire city just so that they can put their machines in there. So that means that there is a big load of available machines hidden in small houses and shacks and basements and first floors and everywhere, and it's you just have to find them. Next question.
So you mentioned that you keep them old and vintage, so you're not doing it like other people doing, like Richie Knuckles in USA, who is also called King of Arcades, who is actually doing them that they look like factory new. But I guess you keep them vintage in a way that they don't further break and they stay in the way they have been. So let's talk a bit about the typical state you find your material in, and how you are going and pushing from getting the machine and getting it working in vintage again.
So when we get them, it varies. I've had machines which were completely rotten inside that we just, you know, you can't even smash them with the hammer anymore. You just push them apart. Up to, well, they come almost close to new from the factory because they've never been used. It depends on what you find and where to find them. And what we do with the insides is that we take everything out, and now people who are really strict will cry, but we put TFTs in them because it's way easier for us to sell them to people at home that say this is a PC screen, it will not go boom in the next year, there is no risk, it's not an old TV, it's all new hardware in there. So yes, the box is old, but everything, joysticks, buttons, cables, power supply, blah blah blah, that's all new or at least refurbished. And the tool we use the most is an industrial vacuum cleaner. Because we have found everything from Vectrex overlays to dead squirrels inside of cabinets. Sucking up dead squirrels with a vacuum cleaner is something nice also, by the way.
You mentioned main PCs, which is kind of a project to preserve the old video games. But on your homepage, Rastermania, you also sell the arcade boards, the original MAME arcade boards. So somebody who has an arcade cabinet at home can basically put in any game in it, like in a video game console. So how about that? I mean, is there a point where you give up on the arcade boards, or are there boards that are so rare that you put all your energy in it and getting it working again? Do you have some rare arcade boards that you put a lot of work in to get them working because the game is almost no more around there?
I think the rarest and the coolest one that I found was an original bubble. I found it on a trash pile in France. We go to shows to sell arcade boards and parts, and also buy new stuff. One of the guys came up to me and said, "Hey, I have bought a Euro pallet of random PCBs. I bought them for all the components, so the ROMs, the EEPROMs, the sound chips, the CPUs too, so he could repair his own. So, would you like to come over and have a look if there's something that you could find? And you go to, and it was in France, so France is the only place in the world where you can still sell soccer games. So it was a lot of soccer games, lots of bootlegs, lots of the French Jotel brand, which is, you don't even care because you have like tons of them if you really want them. Some original boards came up, I think some Tato boards. Say, well, okay, this might be something, and then you, the bubble board is really special. It's really very secured on a hardware level, and there's a specific chip on it with the little dragon logo on it, so you immediately recognize it. And you took out the board, and it's like you take this in your hands and you go like, this is not the holy grail of arcade things, but it comes close to it. People really sell organs to get that board. Like, I shall put this casually on the pile and try not to break it. Because you're like, okay, football game, clonk, clonk, clonk. You just, you know, all these boards are corroded and broken. You don't really care all that much for them. But then you find original, say, yeah, okay, this could work, and you put it aside. And then you find this bubble and you put it nicely aside, and I had this entire stack of boards. And in the end, I traded the entire stack of boards for 4 joysticks. Well, he was happy, I was happy. That's a good deal. So that's one of the crazy stories. So yes, do I find the rare stuff? Yes. In a random basement, I got a Ghouls and Ghosts board. Some other guy in France, other show came up to me. Yeah, I have some boards left at home. Are you interested? We always say yes. And he walks up with 3 banana boxes of Capcom CPS2 and CPS3 boards. That's simple that you tell me, like, yeah, okay, you're honest. You have to be honest. Okay, yes, they are worth something, but they all have batteries in there and they'll be dead. You have to spend work in them to fix them. I said, yeah, okay, sure, fine. And in the end, I made him an offer on the boxes, and suddenly I went home with 3 banana boxes of CPS2 and CPS3 games, and some rare ones, some common ones, and then you have to select, okay, where do you put the energy in to fix it? Because yes, you can spend 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours, and all parts in a game that, well, you're not doing this business these days to get rich, but you want at least for the thing to pay itself, to pay for your, for your car, for your hotel, for your travel, the vacation that you need to take at work. Okay, here's a board that I can sell for 50 euros. Do I put 8 hours of work in there to sell it for 50 euros? Well, no, because then you're working for 10, 12 euros an hour without the parts, so then you say no. So you really have to select really careful what do you put the effort in to restore, and what not is honestly goes to eBay untested, and you start for 5 euro, 10 euros, and then, well, because else you end up with boxes. I actually have to rent a storage unit with an entire wall of games which are worth repairing. So all the football games, all your bootlegs which aren't worth anything, so bootlegs are legal copies of games. Yeah, you put them in a box and you say, well, okay, the entire box, make me an offer, and then some guy who will say, well, yeah, sure, I can. I have sold boxes of old Atari boards, all your breakouts and breakouts too, and the entire 1970s range with the bridge rectifier on the board. It gets really crispy hot and burns up the board. I found an entire shelf of it, and I made someone in the UK a very nice deal, and he had all the spare parts he could dream of, and I had 2 boxes left to take home. So yeah, to answer your questions, do I get rare stuff? Absolutely. Do I have to be very selective in what I try to restore, or have people restore for me because I'm not a wizard and they are? Yes. but you have to be very, very, very selective.
And there's one interesting thing many people don't know, that some arcade games are actually built on hardware that people even had at home. For example, Nintendo had an NES-based arcade board with some games on it. And also, for example, one of the most famous beaten-up series, Tekken, was based on a PlayStation 1 hardware board. So actually that's the same hardware that people have at home. And you wouldn't know unless you are really deep into it. So does that make a difference for you? Do you say, okay, well, if it's something that is just a PlayStation board, or if it's like a Neo Geo cartridge that you can also get for home use, it's not interesting for me? Or do you say, I'm interested in the classic MAME boards and in the, don't know, hybrid systems?
There is a line that I draw in this. Usually it's at that Namco PlayStation line, because there the boards become really hard to repair. Everything becomes SMD technology, very small components, tons and tons of custom chips, and that becomes really, really hard. And then they were also made in the late mid-90s, and there you notice that the components they use really start to get crappy. You can have Mortal Kombat 4 board, which doesn't work. You spend 10 hours fixing it, all the small SMD traces. You make new ROM chips left and right. You resolder the custom ASICs and everything else, and it works for half an hour, and then something else dies. So okay, what do we do with this? And yes, you have people who are really good at repairing this, but then for us it doesn't become economically viable. So then it's better to say, well, okay, here's a board. We think that this and this and this chip is wrong, and then you just go with it. But now that you mentioned with like the Tekken series, because I've had a few of those cabinets, and they are huge. They are 1.5 meter wide, 2 meters deep, a big screen, a big ass topper, and then when you look inside, you have like a PCB the size of a PlayStation. So it's just complete air to make it look huge and big, and there's nothing in there, except of course for the big screen, because it's still a CRT. It's too big, it's too heavy, it's too everything. But yeah, it looks cool. And then you mentioned of course Sony with all the Namco boards, but Sega had the Megatech. Mega Drive based. There was Super Nintendo had the Nintendo Super System. I've got a nice story about that one if you allow me later. And I think the most known one is actually the Sega Naomi, which is basically a Dreamcast with more memory. Although I personally like myself more the Saturn versus the Sega STV boards, which are also some kind of cartridge based, but not. So yeah, you see in the 90s that there is a lot of work done for the home consoles is also ported to the arcades, because well, they had the graphics chip, and if you add some more memory, you can make you can have more things on the screen, you can have nicer textures. So yes, you start to notice this. Does it answer your question?
Great, thank you. So there is a special case here in Europe. 2 years ago, actually, I know that because I was actually part of the games, film and games exhibit in Frankfurt, and the European Union since 2 years actually is considering video games a part of cultural goods combined with movies. And the European Minister for video games and movies said that they don't want in Europe to make the same mistakes they made with silent movies back in the days, because the silent movies were preserved too late. So some of the very early silent movies are already lost, and the same is prone to happen with arcade games because of suicidal batteries, and some games are already lost because certain chips and graphic and sound data is no longer available. So this, now that it's a European historical good and no longer, you know, just video games or arcade games, did that change something for you in the business or for your personal perspective, now that it's actually culturally good and not just video games or arcade games for fun?
Short answer, no. Long answer, well, yes, you know, suicide batteries, which are batteries which are on the board and they hold some kind of decryption data, so that the board will start up. If the battery is empty, the game will no longer work, although sometimes you can fix it. There has been a lot coming out of the MAME emulation scene, where they have broken all the cryptic codes. I know that they have also done some reverse engineering, because you have all these game collections on newer consoles which have the actual decryption key in them. And are they lost? I don't completely agree, because what you have is you can read the ROM chips. They're just, you know, they're encrypted. But what you have encrypted, you can keep it for later until you can decrypt them. So is it lost? No. On the other hand, I don't think the world will lose that much on, you know, Street Fighter 2 ++ Rainbow Ultra Edition bootleg. So for those, personally, I don't care. The original games, yes, you can have some bootlegs to keep, because I think was it like Wonder Boy in Monsterland, for instance, never officially got an English release. Every board that you find is a bootleg copy. The original was Japan only. So, but and for those things, the main team and all the guys are really doing great work. And every now and then, when I sell a completely strange board on eBay, I see it being bought by one of the main guys. So just to read the ROMs and to save them. So yeah, so that preservation is being done, and you know, thanks to the internet and lots of storage, people have copies at home. So I don't really think that we are at risk of the arcade games being lost. When you talk about home computers and early consoles, I think there are games where the source codes are lost, or nothing is that much left, certainly from the early 70s and 80s, but that's more or less a different topic. So, short answer, no.
So on a sunny day, how do you start making your findings? Do you go on eBay or looking in the newspaper for announcements of people who want to sell their arcade trash? Or what's your typical way of going forward to have a great day and making some good business?
Do people in Germany still sell stuff in the newspapers? Like, for sale 5 arcade cabinets? Yes. I have to buy German newspapers. So no, a few ways. One is indeed that you go to, like, not eBay, but in Germany you have the Kleinanzeigen. You have something similar in Belgium, Holland, France, that they will say, well, okay, I have this and this and this for sale. And if you see one game, then you see, well, what else does he have? And you look at the pictures, and you call it, okay, you have one game, we have something else. Sometimes he says, well, no, that's it. Sometimes he says, yes, I have the entire basement. Okay, can I come and have a look? So you find them through, you know, the small ads on websites. Sometimes they call you because you've been to my colleague so and so in that and that village, and he said that you bought everything from him. Do you want my stuff? Well, you don't say no. You say, okay, sure, I come and have a look. Sometimes you say no. Sometimes you say woohoo. You say you take everything. And sometimes you randomly stop at a place because you see there are 3 cabinets in the window, and it says, you know, café spelen, so bar games, name and a phone number and some machines that you call them. Like, hi, I'm at this place. Do you still have it? Because sometimes they just have the house left and there's some machines in there. They have like a pinball machine and 2 Naomi cabinets or Mortal Kombat that you're standing there with a big sign, you know, you get me in your bar, phone number, and you call them up. Yeah, sure, I still have it. So are you selling something of it? Yeah, sure, everything. So where are you? Well, I'm standing at your door now. Oh, hang on, I'll come and open. And then 5 minutes later, you're in a 500 square meters warehouse. And you're like, you have not thrown away anything. So yeah, so 3 ways. You find them, they find you, and pure luck. And then it can go multiple ways.
So should we spice up now the talk with some pictures of some funny rates, some positive, some negative? Maybe start with something positive, I would say. Not start with something, as you said, carnival people. So show us a typical haul, a typical rate that was positive for you.
Well, first of all, there is no typical rate. Second of all, from the bad experience, you quite often don't have pictures because you take pictures at the end when you've done your tour. No, I've selected some pictures. Let's see what I can see here. This is one of the guys I found on like a small for sale ads website. It was a small ad that said, you know, 15 arcade cabinets for sale, plus some boards, preferably take everything in one go. So I called him up, yeah sure, it's there and there and there. It was in a house that he had. The house was sold and the place had to be empty. Faster the better. So okay, good, and you come up there. And yep, the guy was a small-time operator in the 5-6 villages around him. And he did this from 78 till 88, 89. And then he retired. So okay, I have my money, I retire, everything that's left I put in storage and I forget about it. And then, you know, 25 years later I walk in and this is then what I find. So you have original Taito cabinets made under license in Italy. You have some universal cabinets, like the Uni game, which is a Belgian one. Over here in the back are 2 Italian Zaccaria cabinets. They're always very, very nicely done. They have wonderful plastics, wonderful printing. Of course, that's where the roof leaked. So they are complete and utter trash. I still have them because I cannot do it to break them apart, but they're completely shut. Some more keys, more Taito stuff, Apple time. Here upstairs is where they were. You had to carry them down through a small concrete stairs. I had the 75-year-old guy do that for me because I said, well, when you put them downstairs, I'll come and pick them up. So he pulled them down with his wife over the weekend. I kind of still feel bad about that. Some more Taitos and then a Pac-Man license, a Frogger. This is a nice one. You can see here, this is an Empire Strikes Back cabinet. Nobody wanted the game, it was really bad. So the vendor bought them back and switched them over to Sega Hang-Ons. And this is an original conversion kit. This is an original Sega steering wheel. Inside was an original Sega Hang-On board. So this is one of the crazy things you find. Next to an original Amidar in there. Well, the marquee, the cabinet is universal, and then some older bowling games, bingo games, sorry.
Okay, what about the monitor?
Question about the monitor. I'm listening. I will repeat the question, but go ahead.
Was Empire Strikes Back Was it a raster or a vector game? I think
it was a raster game. It was a game. Empire Strikes Back is like this, not side-scrolling, but so question is Empire Strikes Back is a raster or a vector monitor? It's a raster monitor. It's an it's like the like semi-sideways scrolling thing, if I remember correctly. I know I've played some conversions of it, and it was really bad. So this is one of them. This is a very clean location. The roof leaked a bit, but you know, I got some very nice cabinets out of it. I was happy that I got some nice cabinets. The guy was happy that the house was clear, and his new owners were unhappy because with the truck I rented, I rammed the house because the road was so bad. And the water pipe came off the building. So, yes. Whoops. So this is a nice one. You want a crazy one?
Sure. Yes. Show us one of those carnival cases, as you mentioned before.
Those I don't have, but I can tell you about them. The carnival world is really closed, and they have their own way of working, and it's really hard for to earn their trust. And they also don't tend to throw away stuff because they have room. And through one of my contacts, okay, well, we go there and there and there, we go and have a look. And you end up in a small street, and there's a warehouse where the caravans are during the winter. So you cannot get in there in winter because the stuff is there, but in summer it's empty, so you can go in. And in the back was a 20-meter long trailer, which was full of machines. So it's racers, Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct. So you would call this a very, very nice find. Except that the roof of the truck was missing. So for 20 years it had been raining in there and on there, and everything was completely rotten. When wood is full of moisture and it has this white fuzzy fungus on top of it. Same with arcade boards, they get this little fuzz on the chips when they corrode. You would go to Mortal Kombat and you could just push through the wood and pull the board out from the inside to the outside, just completely wasted. Well, then the guy said, well, yeah, no, this has to go. And you're the guy who's going to do it. You're going to pay me 1,000 euros for the entire contents of this thing, non-discussable, or I will get a can of gasoline and I will burn it. Let's go to the gas station. So I don't want it. We were talking about some other games. I said, well, yeah, you can have these games and that one. Well, no, if I have to take a trailer in the back, I'm not paying you anything. Then I'm taking rid of your problem, and my payment is the good stuff. So in the end, you know, he started waving money. Like, have you ever seen 5,000 euros in somebody's hand? Yes, I know what it looks like. No, yeah. Then it became an ego thing, and when you know that starts, okay, no, sorry, it's like, let's just quit here. I know where it is. If I ever need it, I'll come back. I know the details. If you want to talk about it, not including the crazy trailer in the back, absolutely welcome. You have my offer for the good machines, which do not include the crap in the back. And then, yes, of course, we can talk. I have never left on a bad note somewhere, but you have to tell people, not just carnival people, but just any operator, they will, yeah, sorry, but what you paid, 1,000, 2,000 euros worth in 1985 is today not worth 500. So I've had guys say, well, okay, yes, here's a default cabinet, you know, whatever, doesn't look bad, it's in pretty good condition, but the insides are to throw away. But you know, there's a game in there, I paid 2,000 euros for it, I would like most of it back, so you can have the cabinet as it is non-working for 500 euros. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. Well, it was an entire warehouse, 600 square meters full, and everything was 500 euros each. In the end, I made him a crazy offer. That I said, okay, I will take one of your Simpsons arcades and one of your Terminator 2 arcades, which I knew were not working because of the conditions they were kept. Too much moisture, too bad temperatures. You know they are dead inside. But okay, I take those two for 500, 250 each. He said no. Well, okay, then it stops. Oh, that also happens. There's only, well, 1 out of 3 you get nothing. You do some work, you call them back, and then there's yeah, yes, no, we want to keep him, or there's always a guy coming next week with more money. Well, okay, you have been talking to a guy who for 60, 70 arcade boards. Most of them are bootlegs which will not work, but there's this one original Capcom Commando in there that you want. So okay, you make this, I give you this much per board, I take the risk, you keep the money, mostly for them under the table, I don't care. And this will, yeah, okay, fine, but next week there's a guy from, usually Holland, coming in with more money and he'll take them. Okay, fine. And 2 weeks later you call him again, say, hi, no, and did he show up? Yeah, no, his car broke down, he couldn't make it, but he's coming next week. And you call him back, so, yeah, no, he's still coming, but he's still, but if you give me more than him, you can come and get him right now. Like, no, it's not gonna happen. No, so, do you leave with bad vibes every now and then? Well, no, but you know when they're trying to squeeze you, and then the trick is not to be squeezed.
So you mentioned sometimes you buy a bulk of arcade boards because there is in that box that one arcade board that is worth something. So the sellers often don't know that they have a rare gem in their collection, and they are selling it just to get rid of it. Or so sometimes you are really lucky and make a good deal. Tell us some examples of good deals that you did in the end that first turned out like bad, and then you had like a sudden surprise.
I think I have one. That this is an existing operator. He's still in business, and he never threw out anything. He's still there. He's still doing his thing. He still has some machines out there, and he's pretty old. His son is helping him in the business, and he's doing his stuff. Last time I saw him, he was converting old arcade cabinets to like small touchscreen or gambling games for bars. So he's reusing his old stock, and that's fine. So you go in and you say, okay, can we have something? So yes, a Star Wars Episode 1 pinball machine, not the best game ever, but okay, yes, well, okay, you ask, okay, so what would this be for sale? And you give a number, they're like, no, I'm not doing that. And there's a machine here. This is a fishtails in orange, not white. If you know fishtails, you will say that's nice. And okay, it's standing up there with the play filled up. It's obviously broken. No, price isn't good. You go walking around, you see all the old arcade cabinets that are just standing there. And okay, so what can we do here? Somebody wants a Duplo kitty ride. I know one for sale. Etc. And you just walk around. They say, well, yeah, this and this and this and that and that, and well, yeah, no. In the end, no. And then you come to the back of the hall, and then there's this, the pile of boards. And you start looking, okay, bootleg, nothing. It's a football game. Nobody really cares, but still, there might be something in it. So you say, well, okay, this much, and then you can get the discussion for yes, no, too much money. Because well. But the guys always see a value in there, which is not incorrect. There is a value, but of course there has to be something in it for us. And for every 10 boards that we get, maybe 2 or 3 actually work. So you go there, we show you the final lap is working. Okay, actually really nice. And if I had the room for it, I would actually put it in my living room. But that's not going to happen. You go back to the boards. You have some Sega STVs. Then in the back you find some Neo Geo stuff. Like, okay, good. We have any Neo Geo? So, oh yeah, we have like of those cassettes. They're cassettes. So yeah, we have an entire drawer in the back. Oh, in the back, and you go looking. Okay, and you find some boards. You find some more boards. And some more boards, and some more boards. You find an entire cabinet of MVS boards, and there's even more next to the billiard balls. You open a drawer and it's completely full of Neo Geo MVS games. You open the second one which is completely full of Neo Geo MVS games. And the third one which is completely full of Neo Geo MVS games. And you know, some older Atari boards will always say yes or no, maybe this. You walk around for some more stuff. You know, you make a large lap around. Somebody wants a Knight Rider. You know, some more bowling machines, some more stuff. All these bingo machines. Oh, some more Neo Geo. These are French Untitled cabinets. And then you find the kit boxes. And you put it all together and you go home. Because in the end you walked in with, okay, maybe let's see if we can get 2 or 3 cabinets from the guys. And then you end up going home with 30 Neo Geo MVS boards and about 200 cartridges. So there's always something to take home if you look for it. Somebody's asked me in the audience, what did you pay for them? I paid a price that both me and the seller were happy with. Did I make money of it? Of course. But I have my cost. But so yeah, always find out if you will get something. This is how I stacked them at home. I have now an entire shelf full of MVS. Somebody wants Magician Lords. I used to have lots of them. So that's an example that you can always find something. Something I don't have any pictures of. I did a trip to Finland 1 year to bring some pinball machines to my friends in Kouvola and Helsinki. And well, you were there with then an empty bus, an empty van. Okay, so can we take anything back? Scandinavia, Nordics, you have all the racers and shooting games from the ferries, which if you know where they are, you can get them quite cheap because there are plenty of them and nobody wants them. So yeah, I had a small car, so sorry, I couldn't do it. But what else do you have? Oh well, we have manuals. The technicians of the pinball games in Finland in the 80s and 90s did not speak English. So what the Finnish government, who put the games out in the bars, did was translate them to Finnish for the technicians, meaning that the official manuals were never used. They were all put in a plastic, in a box, in a shelf, and forgotten for 25 years until I passed by. And I went to Finland with 3 pinball machines, and well, okay, maybe I can find 1 or 2 games and come back. And in the end, I came back with 6 Polo 25 screens from Midway Hit the Ices to fix many Mortal Kombats, and 5 big boxes of pinball manuals. So there's always something to find. You go for boards, you come back with manuals. You go for cabinets, you get Neo Geo. You go for manuals, you get cabinets. It's always something.
Did you find your holy grail yet? Your big discovery?
My holy grail, I bought off the market, too expensive, which is my Robocop pinball machine that I have, and I actually had to buy 3 machines to get 1 working. So I didn't get that through a raid. What I did get one time was a smaller operator, and I knew he was there, and I was driving home from an event past his place. So I called him, are you there? Well, you know, I'm buying stuff, can I come and have a look? Well, no, I'm not there, but one of my guys is. Sure, you go in, you go up and have a look, and you find, in the attic on the shelf, you find an entire load of boards, including Robocop 2 JAMA PCB from Data East. I said, okay, sure, well, no. How much for everything? Well, yeah, no, just leave me a few boards and you know, that's fine. And then we arranged everything, and I took out 50, 60 boards, among the Robocop 2 that I kept for myself, for instance. So, yeah, you never know when you're going to find it. And now I have Robocop 1, Robocop 2, and on JAMA board, and I have the pinball machine, so that's more or less complete.
So any other crazy stories you could tell us where things went totally wrong? And I know in the preparation for this interview, he actually told me that a lot of those people not having an idea of what is worth what they are selling, and they are actually looking at your homepage as a reference for the prices they can take. So how do you go about that?
Yeah, true. So no, that's mostly when I try to buy new Neo Geo MVS cards. They have like 5 or 6 of them, and they want to sell them. And then okay, good. No, how much for everything? And they give a completely unrealistic price. You know, because they say, well, yeah, no, I'm not. That's even more than what I would sell them for. But you know, where you get this? Oh well, no, there's this site who's selling them, and I got the price from there, and I could ask a bit more. And sure, what site is this? Is this some French price guide or a US price guide? And then they actually quite often come up with my website listing, you know, the prices on there. Let's see, we cards only. And they actually show me my page with my prices, and they add 15 euros because they think they can make more. Because when I call them, I don't tell them, hey, it's Peter from WrestleMania and I would like to buy the games. Like, hi, I'm Peter, I saw your ad and you're selling the games, you know, blah, 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 blah. Can you make a deal if I buy everything? And I buy everything does not mean everything counted up, you know. I will pay you full price for some nice titles, but everything else has to be hugely discounted to do that. And there's that. Plus, of course, there's then the eBay thing, which is pretty much known that you know, the asking price on eBay is not what people get for it. So I know for the last Neo Geo lots I bought, I got from a guy in Southern Europe, and I said, well, okay, he had like an entire list of games listed, and I just mailed it. Okay, you have 50 games, buy now or best offer, and you start messaging. Okay, so how much for best offer for everything? And in the end, you know, you work out the price and he ships them over. But that's for large ones. If you want to buy like 4 or 5 games of a guy because you know there's a nice title in it that you're no longer have and you would have back in stock again, then yeah, they come up with my price as a, but they try to sell me for it, and like, yep, it's not gonna work, sorry.
Great. So how is it selling those arcade boards and pinball machines? I mean, how is it with the servers? I guess it's not like selling cartridge games. I mean, I bought boards myself, and actually had the problem, for example, that sometimes they were wrapped not so nicely and they would arrive broken, and I would have to return them because some parts fell off the board and so on. So how is it with the service for you? How do you handle that? I mean, in the European Union you still have to give some kind of warranty in the European Union as a business. I guess that's kind of hard because, as you said with the CRT screens, you never know when they break, but you cannot always foresee every problem.
Yes, although that warranty is not for used parts. You can give some if you want to, but I give none. Then and on new stuff, it's 2 years, but after 6 months, you have to prove that the fault was in there instead of not automatic switch. Anyway, that's another discussion. But no, if I sell a board on a trade show, I have a super gun with me, and we test the board, it's working, are you happy? Okay, here it is, now it's yours. If it comes home and it's broken, I'm very sorry. I cannot help you anymore. Well, I can try, but if it's broken, you know, it worked when I gave it to you. Sorry, yes, it can suck. I've had one particular guy was he ordered Neo Geo 4 slot, and he said, well, it's not working when it came here. Okay, fine, sorry, ship it back, I'll send you a new one. I said, well, yeah, message and email, but you know, are you trying to fool me? Because this one isn't working either. And I know it because I took the 2 boards apart, the A and the B board. They have the 4 slot is 2 layers, 2 boards with a sandwich, those connectors, and I swapped them around on my boards, and none of them work. Well, yeah, sorry, but if the first thing you do is to take my board, which I tested working before I shipped it, to you take it apart and you start mixing and matching it with other boards that I don't know the history of, which I don't know work, which could blow it up because there could be different versions or whatever. I'm sorry, this is, it stops. No, I can no longer help you, please. Yeah, you've killed it yourself. Very likely, I'm very, very sorry about it. No, I will no longer help you, you've done this to yourself. Kisses, goodbye. But no, but then to ship it, there's a packaging store in Holland which will sell you big rolls of anti-static bubble wrap, the pink one. So in my storage room, I have this big ass roll of anti-static bubble wrap, and when I ship in new boxes. From the same company, I get new boxes. It looks nice, you know. So the board is wrapped in anti-static bubble wrap. I have an entire collection of styrofoam peanuts and from these little air packets that I stuff in the bag. I take a new box, I tape it up. There is we use this website to make very nice shipping labels with barcodes, and you put them in a pocket with a sticker, so it looks fucking professional when you ship it out. And everything arrives in one piece, except for, you know, some things which where people start to disassemble it. But from all the things I've shipped, died in transfer, maybe 1 or 2 over all the years, and then, well, I'm pretty sure it's not my fault, but then okay, yeah, sure, you have to be nice to people. You know, it's a small community, it's a small world, so if something breaks or it arrives broken, okay, ship it back. If it's not, I can fix it, yes, no. But yeah, so yeah, shipping is important. Do you have bad experiences? Sometimes yes, quite often no, and you know, I have return customers, so you know, I think they're happy buying my stuff from even through the mail. So that.
Yeah, I guess you never can know if there is some expert who will disassemble your part. And I guess for the case of being dead by the shipping company, you are probably shipping insurance, so you would have the money back and can get it fixed or a new one. So is there any other crazy or nice story you could tell us with pictures that you still have here to lighten this up a bit with a further example?
Let's go to one of the bigger ones that I did, and it was actually more or less around the corner from where I live, to my surprise. Operators who did the local cities for years. When you know, the bar business in the mid-90s started to go down, they put everything in storage, started their own business, but then kept part of the stock. They kept it in the storage room at the new business, and that's where I found them. I found through a contact who once fixed a pinball machine from them, and said, well, yeah, we have all of the stuff here. It needs to go because we need room to put. They wanted to rebuild their offices. They needed space. So you walk into the hallway and you find a cigarelli. And I'm quite so without a gun. Part of the deal was that I would put a new gun on there. So I went to the Namco website, said, hey, order me a new gun, $2,000. So you go onto eBay and you say, well, yeah, here's a gun, but it works fine, but it doesn't shoot. Okay, $100. You take the risk. You buy the gun, you open it up, and the wire from the micro switch from the trigger was loose. So solder it together, fix it, gun fixed, nah, works perfectly again. So you know, there's another Sega rally. There's a Sega Outrunners, Mortal Kombat 3. This is a Nintendo Super System. This is the arcade version of the Super Nintendo. Very rare. Only a few games came out through it. And when you see the game, you know why, because it has the most vulnerable menu system ever made. It's a constant white screen with 3 game titles on it. I think 6, 7 games came out through it. I had 3 cabinets. 2 of them were converted to Neo Geo. One was original, but I also got the 3 Super System boards, and I actually sold them to arcades in the US to eBay, which was I found cool doing that. Oh, more Mortal Kombat. Neo Geo stuff, a darts machine, a jukebox, JAMA cabinet, coffee cups, beer crates. These are shoe holders for a bowling alley, by the way. You have the shoe sizes here. Same game, more Splin, Italian company, I believe, does games. The Killer Instinct in the back. This is random. You go on top of a table and like, okay, click. This is what you have. Here's a racer machine. Here's some karate game. More you know, Universal cabinets. Neo Geo cartridges. That's it. On those, did everything here? Yes, I did. Oh, I need to go forward. And then they also have some pinball machines, which I couldn't buy yet. But this is what these are just the leftovers of the leftovers. So you have a Lethal Weapon, you have a few Judge Dredd's, Rocky and Bullwinkle, Tales from the Crypts, another Judge Dredd, Champions Pub. No idea what this is. Some jukeboxes, records in there. This is another Lethal Weapon 3. Of course, an orange fishtails. Usually they're white. And no, GGI Club that I did get in the end. Outrunners again, the Sega rallies again. So yeah, I didn't get the pinballs. I did get everything else. Well, okay, so I also buy. No arcade board, do you have something? Well, yeah, sure, come to the house in the basement. There's a shelf of some games. Come have a look. Yeah, sure, come have a look. Old Atari boards, old, you know, corroded, destroyed, everything. Okay, sure, but you know, I promised I would take them, so that's what you do. And if you throw them away, you throw them away. You take the problem away from them. And you know, okay, so is there anything else? Oh yeah, sure. There's a small room in the back. Which also might have some boards. Okay, it's a small basement, 4x4, shelves all around, shelves in the middle, up to the roof, all with original non-bootleg arcade boards. They never threw something away. So everything from an all original boards, so all original Taito, original Namco, original Capcom, everything from a Final Fight to a Ghouls and Ghosts. Everything. And when I came out there, I did my happy dance because that was a very nice deal. There's this nice example.
So we spoke about old arcades and old pinball machines. How about the new arcades? For example, I was in Tokyo in September, and they are still having arcades, Sega arcades and Taito arcades. and there are basically, you know, the same racers, the same 4 or 5 racers, including a Super Mario Kart arcade version, and Sega actually released an arcade version of the new Sonic Mania, the classic Sonic. That was pretty much hyped last year on the event where they announced it in the US. So what's your opinion about the current new arcades that is mainly focused in Japan? Because as we see here in the museum, it's something that is actually pretty much dead in Europe when it comes to actually having arcades and people going to play there. But in Japan it's a culture thing, and they still have new games. So what's your point of view about that?
Not just Japan, you know, the guys from Raw Thrills in the US are also still doing. Raw Thrills is basically Midway gaming. It's more or less the same guys, you know. They got all the Williams Midway guys. I think Mark Ritchie is still running it. I don't know. He did anyway. So no. For instance, they released a new Turtles game. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade, new on the market in the US. The first pictures came online. So is it dead, and is it Japan only? Absolutely not. Of course, Europe is something special. But games do come over now. Now we no longer have the arcades. You know, we are happy if you go to a holiday park and you have like 2 or 3 pinball machines, and you have an old Naomi with, you know, what, the first was Striker 2002, and you're really happy. There are some arcades in Belgium. You have some at the coast that I know of, and they will be around here. I know that in Cologne there's one as well. I forgot the name, which has newer games. I know that they released a new arcade version of Street Fighter some time ago. So they're still coming out. So is it that? No. Has the market shifted? Yes. You know, of course, what sells and is, you know, you have to give something that they don't have at home. So now at home, everybody has a PlayStation 4, has a big TV. So what you give the people, you give them a bigger TV and a bigger gun to shoot with. The most epic shot that I've seen, I've been to a vacation in Chicago 5-6 years ago when the new Terminator arcade came out. Was thinking that they released Terminator 4 or 5 movie, whatever, and there was this huge guy, really big American guy, you know, muscle guy, you know, 2 meters high, 2 meters wide, 2 meters deep, and he was standing in front of a 4x4 projection screen with the game shooting away like crazy. They're like, yeah. So, no, so yes, the market has shifted, but no, it's not gone. And I should actually get the picture on Facebook somewhere if I can find it really quickly. But so, no, the market is shifting towards shooters and racers, because that's what you can give people in your case, what they can get at home. You know, if you want to give, you know, people, like say, a puzzle game or say a Tetris, and you have 5 million games of it on your phone, you are not going to go to an arcade and put €2 in it. You want to go to an arcade and put €2 in it because you want to shoot stuff. And that's where, and there's still a market. It's smaller, but it's still there.
Okay, so that would be all from my side. Is there anything I've missed you would like to add? No, let's not go on the hygienically bad stories, because let's end on a high note that arcades are still there and they're still making new ones, and it might have changed, but it's not going anywhere. You know, if you go, you know, just go on any random ferry ship. There are still arcades there. There are still new arcades there. You have new arcades opening up in the US. You have
with all the older, vintage old barcades coming up. Not so much in Europe, but in the US there are lots of them. I've been to a few. They have plenty of old games, but they also have the new games. So they all got, they will have their, mandatory Miss Mrs. Pac-Man because you're in the US. But they will have the new games as well. So yes, there's a market, and yes, people are still going out to play them. So let's end with that high note.
Okay, thank you. So where can people actually find you and find out more about your Westermania and the stuff you do?
Best thing would be westermania.be as the website, and there's also the Facebook page, which is Westermania Games, but it's linked on the main website, or if you're here, just walk up and talk to me. I'll give you the details. But URL www.westermania.be. Somebody will put it in the video in the link here. So there you go.
So thank you very much for taking the time and this little chat, and the presentation with the photos was very nice.
All right, thank you. See you next time.